Well, if you saw the video from yesterday, you know I mentioned that whole best gem guide on it, and some of you did go and say, hey, can you send the link? I want to see what it is. But I'm sure there's people out there that just said, hey, it's a lot of reading on it, so I did you the favor, went through, looked at all the things that were labeled as S grade. So we're going to be going through the weapons and the armors today, and because I'm going to a concert tomorrow, I'm going to immediately record this one afterwards for the rings and the amulets. Now, I do know I wear the same shirt over and over because I'm old, I'm lazy, but this time is going to be a video back to back. So if that interests you, make sure you come back tomorrow and check out that one. So why go over these? Well, the big thing on this is maybe and hopefully you're checking your gems before you're going and merging them, but sometimes getting one of these and having it at a lower rarity might be better than what's coming or what it's going to turn into. So if you see one of these things, maybe hang on to it after your merge and then decide, is this going to be better than what you got out of the new one? Now the global attack percentage, I think that one's kind of a no-brainer, and hopefully you're hanging on to these before you're going and merging any of them in. But this is always going to be a strong one in there, probably one of the better ones you can get inside the game, and we even see some of the top players using this when they finally get it to that peerless state. But the next one is going to be the final damage boost on it. This is another really good one actually, and as we've been seeing with all this final damage reduction, this might be an easy way to counteract that. The next one's going to be when casting a skill, which should be pretty easy by now. Whatever that percentage is, that'll be the percentage chance you have to reduce the enemy's damage reduction by 50%. So think of the skill damage, think of the final damage reduction, combo damage reduction. That's going to allow them to be able to take more hits, or harder hits from you, I should say. This is kind of a nice one to see, at least in PvP. We don't really see it a lot in PvE where monsters have a lot of damage reduction, but still, I'd probably go and run it in there too. Now, the next one's going to be normal attacks will have a percentage to do double damage. And this is really kind of a strong one here in the fact that if you do have a weapon that you're mainly relying on the hits from that, like the helos or even the nomad bow there, this is going to be a good one. And really, if you don't even have one of those, it's still a good one to slot in the fact that this is going to be taking whatever your final damage number is and doubling the damage. The next one we have is when tossing out 3 daggers, you're going to be launching out a rage dagger. And this is going to increase your rage meter by 15, and you can do this up to a certain amount of times in a turn there, or a round I should say, depending on the gem. This will go and also increase the damage of those daggers, and it's not only good for whispers if you're one like me where you're using the Zang flying knife or even the Joker there. This is something that could still be beneficial for you to have in a slot. If you are one to check on your battle statistics, those rage attacks are really going to be the big number for any weapon that you're using. The next one will be more of a PvE focus. This can be when upon entering a stage, you're going to be able to select one skill. And this is going to work both in regular chapter modes and also the Abyss once that comes back. Even better, it is going to increase your damage by a percentage, but just keep in mind this might not be one you're going to have slotted all the time, but going into those modes, this is going to be pretty helpful. But if you did see the video the other day about the whole damage formula, then you already know about this steal gem here, which at the start of battle, you're going to steal some of the enemy's attack power and have it put on yourself up to like 5 times or whatever the percentage is of your own attack. Nice part about this, based by that formula there, this is going to kind of have its own slot on it, meaning that it's going to put a pretty big number out there to increase your overall damage. So those are the ones for the weapon. Let's talk about the armor. Now, I didn't see it in here, but I am a fan of global HP, so even though it didn't make the actual S list on this, if you see one of those, I'd say hang on to that. But the next one here is going to be final damage reduction. We've been talking about this non-stop over the past couple of weeks, so just know if you see that, one you want to hang on to, one you probably want to slot. The next one's going to be ignore crit rate, and this is actually going to reduce the enemy's crit rate. With all this building around reduction, crits, and freezes, this is going to be a big help for you that just about everybody is running that white robe wizard. Next we have ignore control immunity rate, and with once again everybody running all this stuff of control immunity, this is going to hopefully help you be able to freeze, stun, or whatever else you need to do to prevent your enemy from attacking. So this could be a good one if you are running that icy bubble like I just got rid of the other day, or running an Elsa or anything else like the ghost that's going to have a stun, anything to just keep that CC going. Now, I don't know why the game does not want to give me this one right here, but this is going to be the combo count +1 and then a possible increase to your combo damage. As we all know by now and for a long time, building around combo has been a pretty strong thing to go for, and this gem right here is really going to make or break what weapon you might decide to go and use. So if you see this one, regardless of what the rarity is on it, you might want to go and slot this one in. But luckily for me, the one the game does like to give me is going to be the range skill coefficient. And as we've talked about once again, that damage formula, this is a pretty big one or a good slot to go and throw things in. And just as we talked about a second ago, those range damage numbers can be pretty huge, so this is only going to benefit from it. Next for PvP, we have immune to damage for a certain number of instances there, and I think it's usually like 1 or 2 on it. I really haven't had this gem either, so not really 100% certain, but at least know that it's going to be the hit, not the round on it, so don't think you're going to be lasting all the way through, but with how some things hit inside PvE, this could be a good one just to kind of give you that little extra stretch to beat that boss. But one that's going to work for PvP is going to be the immune to a certain number of crowd control effects and increase your control immunity to. This is another one that I still haven't had the chance to get my hands on, but it's one I have been chasing after. But the last one going for PvE is going to be for every skill learned, you're going to be getting an additional 1% of global HP. So just think as you're going through on those chapter modes there and just collecting as much skill as you can. Even I think probably the dungeon dive too would be another good one. That's an easy way to stack some up, but just figure this is an additional global percentage here to just go and hit even harder. But those are going to be the ones for the weapon and the armor. And like I said, tomorrow we'll have the one going over the rings and the accessories. But if you do want to know about why I got rid of my icy bubble, take a look at that video right there. Thanks for watching, and remember, I pick my butt.